Time now for this week's Health Matters. Paul Critz here in the Fug House, along with PA Lynn Szabo. And Lynn, why don't they do these? Why don't they do this in October? It makes more sense to do it around Halloween.
You mean blood donations? January is blood donor month.
I know, that makes no sense. It's almost like you just really didn't have a month.
You know what really makes sense is, and we'll get to it, is they have a shortage during the summer. So
wow.
Should make it in the summer.
Okay.
But yeah.
Donating
blood. So a blood donation is where a person voluntarily, sticks out their arm, gets a needle put in it, and probably a pint of their blood is drawn off. And then it's broken down into components sometimes, like platelets. For some people out there need platelet transfusions.
How do they do? Is that just centrifuge stuff? Is that how you break it down?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most rudimentary way, but I think they also do other things. And then it can be used to donate. Somebody in a car accident, for example, might get 100 pints of blood, 100
Yikes,
units
wow.
of blood. So definitely has its uses. It's also kind of sold for research. I don't think that people know that.
I've never heard that, huh?
Oh, yeah, they don't talk about it. But
We're going to sell your blood. Wow.
Yeah, thanks for your donation. Now we're sending it to Sweden.
I guess you just assume like, oh, my blood's going to come out and go right into the arm or somebody
everybody
who needs
has that kind of dewy-eyed
Right,
reaction.
right.
But no, sometimes it's sold to keep the blood bank going.
Sure.
And to keep research going. So it's not really sold for, it's not like there's a black market or something. But it's
Underground blood.
It's definitely sold for research. But,
Okay. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
yeah. So this is interesting too, the blood transfusion and the whole how you store blood and how you decide who gets what unit and how you not kill somebody with a blood transfusion was pioneered by the African-American surgeon, Dr. Charles Richard Drew, who refined the techniques during World War II and actually saved probably thousands of soldiers' lives.
Do you, maybe, how did Dr. Drew die?
I don't know. But I do know that he's of African-American descent, okay? And he ultimately broke ties with the blood banking industry, the Red Cross specifically, because, and I find this hard to believe, donations early on were race designated. So if a donor was African-American, then that blood went to African-American patient in need, which is inconsistent with rational scientific thought. So he pointed that out. He couldn't get them really to change that. And then he parted ways with the Red Cross kind of at the end of his career.
See, I learned when I was a kid watching MASH that he had died in a hospital after being in an accident where he couldn't get a blood transfusion. He died in a white hospital.
Is that true?
No, I was just looking that up right now. And no, he was in an accident and was in a white hospital. They gave him a blood transfusion, but he died anyway.
He died anyway.
So I just wanted to call out Hawkeye and say Alan Alda lied to me as a kid.
Well, it was for a noble reason.
Yeah, it's pretty Machiavellian of you, but okay.
Yeah. So there's different types of donations, okay? So donors, first, they give informed consent. So you got to go through all the screening paperwork so they decide if you're a suitable donor. And if you're not a suitable donor, then they do what's called defer you, which means say it's not like you can never draw blood, or donate blood, you just can't donate it right now.
What sorts of things make you an unsuitable donor?
Yeah, this is a hot topic, actually.
Are we
Men
getting
who
to
have
that?
sex with men
Okay.
recently made people an unsuitable donor. Being on certain medications, having certain diseases like HIV or Hep C, being on certain types of medication, like certain malarial drugs, I think, having traveled to an area where you might get a disease like West Nile or malaria, or perhaps an exposure to syphilis, stuff like that means you're out, at least, or deferred, as they say. So you get the problem taken care of as much as you can, and then you can come back and donate if you become not a risk to the blood supply. Blood supply, incredibly safe. Incredibly safe. So people worry about that a little bit. But you remember, if you're selling blood for for research, and that has a different standard of safety, perhaps, than putting a transfusing a newborn, say, something like that. So most donations are open to an anonymous patient who. That means you meet the compatible blood types, so A, B, B, and O, Rh positive, Rh negative. So you meet those compatibility factors, and then it goes to the person who was in the car wreck that we all think of our blood going to. But there's also direct donation. So a person can donate directly to a person known to them. So let's say somebody's going to have open heart surgery, and his friends get together and blood bank some blood for him in case he needs it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you get the same exact blood that person's donated. I suppose you could arrange that. But for example, when I had my second child, I needed a blood transfusion. And one of the midwives went and donated blood, and she was absolutely certain that the blood from her arm went into my arm, and it didn't. We're not even the same blood type. It would have killed me. But I was, not in a mood to argue with her, because I was pretty wiped out. But but it's like dollar bills. Okay, you don't always get the same exact dollar bill, so it goes into the bank and then it comes out, and it's 1 for 1. So she donated a unit and I got a unit, but it's not necessarily her blood specifically. Okay, but there's also autologous donations, which means that a person can anticipate a surgery coming up and can donate their own blood kind of over the course of the months before the surgery. And then if they need it, then they actually have their own blood.
This sounds like blood doping to me, but okay.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But sometimes that makes people more comfortable, I suppose.
Sure.
And then blood, of course, is broken down to make different components that are used for specific disease situations. So, for example, somebody with hemophilia who might need some platelets that are functional would get a platelet transfusion. Or there are some people who actually, it's not like they're donating blood. It's like they're having blood taken at the blood bank because they have too much of it.
Oh, whoa.
So they just get, they just get kind of,
take
like
off
once
the
a
top.
month they get, a little bit.
Wow.
There's polycythemia vera, which is a blood disease that older men get where they just have too many red cells. And so, once a month they donate, or once every 6 weeks.
Huh. Never heard of that
blood
either.
Can be donated, or most likely it'll be discarded. So,
I'm sorry, say that again?
That blood can be donated, but most likely it'll be discarded.
Because you're just relieving this guy of his blood, right?
Yeah.
You're not, probably not going through the same screening processes and things.
Exactly. Because that person needs to have that blood taken out.
Yeah.
They could be HIV positive, I suppose.
Right.
Or something else. So blood donations, like I said before, super safe. And they screen for diseases and certain medications. And then the donor is screened personally to make sure they don't have a travel history. Like my mom was always traveling out of the country, so she would go to bizarre places in Africa and third world countries and stuff. And they would go, "No, Janice, you can't do that."
Yeah.
So,
What'd she do? Can I ask? Did she just travel for fun?
yeah.
Really? That's great. That's really awesome.
She's kind of, like in The Hobbit. Remember there was somebody as
Just a wanderer
strange
like that?
aunt
Yeah.
who would wander away, and it was kind of societally frowned upon. That's my mom.
That was her? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So and one of the things, once the blood is donated, it's typed. Okay, so that's A, B, AB, or type O. And then type O, of course, type O negative. So that looks at the Rh factor. Rh factor is another classification of blood that can be either positive or negative.
So is that now you got A, B, AB, or O?
Right.
Can you go positive, negative, both of those?
Right.
Okay.
So
all of those, right?
Somebody could be A positive. I suppose
right.
that would be A plus.
I got an A plus on
For example,
blood.
I'm O positive. My mother was O negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And O negative is the stuff they can give you regardless, right?
Yeah, O negative is the universal donor.
Right.
Okay. O negative is a little complicated in pregnancy, though, because it can cause problems for future pregnancies if the woman's O negative and the man is, or if the woman is Rh negative and the man is Rh positive.
Oh, wow.
Then the kid has a 50-50 chance of being Rh positive. That was my thing. And then you don't really have a problem in that pregnancy, but you get sensitized down the line. And future pregnancies have a problem with stillborns and miscarriages and stuff. So
Really?
I kind
Wow.
of tried to off my sister.
Does that come up at holiday gatherings or?
She's not medically sophisticated to know that that's why she had to stay in the hospital when she was a newborn.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh,
too bad.
so I mean, now it says here you've got the types are this refers to the type of antigens on the surface of the red blood cell, right? So I mean, what's that mean? What's the difference between the types? That's something I've never
They have
understood.
different antigens.
So meaning what? So what do the different antigens mean?
So what that means is on the surface of a red blood cell, it's not like it's smooth and without feature. There's like little protuberances that do certain jobs. And, some of them are the A-type protuberance, and some are the B, and then some have both A and B, and some have O, okay? And some have Rh positive with the different blood types, and some have Rh negative. So you can have a lot of combinations of that. And what happens is if there's certain antigens there and you put that blood into somebody that's not compatible, you're going to have an immune response where the donor red blood cells are going to try and kill the host red blood cells and vice versa.
It's remarkable then when I think about like organ donating.
Oh yeah,
organ donating and the way that the body will forever try to get rid of this foreign that there's actually something that can be donated, O negative blood kind of universally. That's remarkable.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Huh.
And the Rh thing is also a problem with pregnant women. Okay. So a pregnant woman who is Rh negative with a pregnant, let's say the father is Rh positive, then the baby has a chance and most likely will be Rh positive. And that's not going to hurt the baby. That's not going to hurt the mom, but that's going to hurt the future pregnancies.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then the mom's immune system is going to be sensitized. So if she has another child with an Rh positive male, then that baby's going to have a problem with hemolytic anemia. Hemolytic anemia means the red blood cells are split open.
Oh my gosh.
And so they're non-functional. So the immune system goes after them. And there's this really cool kind of Rh situation of there's only about 50 people in the world called Rh null.
What?
Yeah, I digress a little bit, but this
What?
is so nerdy cool. And it's usually in people whose parents are closely related.
Okay.
And for some reason, there seems to be a lot of them in Iran, but there's only 50 in the world. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And this is separate from like the bleeding disease and being inbred and things, right?
Yeah,
Hemophilia.
This is, I suppose, another side effect of your parents being too genetically aligned.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't really cause a problem, but if one of them needs a transfusion, they need a transfusion from an Rh null person.
So they need one of those other 50 people to have
Yeah.
donated. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So otherwise, red blood cells are going to attack and destroy. And there's going to be like a problem, hemolytic anemia.
And O negative doesn't work in this regard then for the null. That's interesting.
Because they're Rh null.
So if we're talking about okay. RH. What's RH mean? Did you already tell me that?
I know I didn't say that.
This
but
whole
it's
time I've
something
been
to do with rhesus monkeys. I think they found this system initially in rhesus
and that's where the R
monkeys,
comes from. Because this whole time we've been doing that, and I've been making it PH in my head. And then I go, wait a minute. I was going to ask you.
And it's little r, capital H, because why not? So
that seems like an affront to the monkeys.
I know.
But okay.
So anyway, the thing I really want to say, the whole point of this is donations are quick and easy. And people feel initially a little tired, but they get the baked goods and the orange juice. And they pretty much are okay within like 15 or so minutes.
Right.
Okay. The blood that was removed is replaced in 2 or 3 days for plasma and about 20 to 60 days for red blood cells. That's why you donate about every 60 days.
So, difference between plasma and like blood.
Yeah. So blood is that red stuff that comes out of your cut.
Okay.
If you got some of it and put it in a test tube and just let it sit for a while, the red stuff would sink to the bottom and an upper layer of yellow stuff.
Okay.
And then sometimes a top layer of white stuff that's very thin.
Whoa.
So the red blood cells are heavy, so they sink. Everything else that's in blood, like all the nutrients and chemicals and,
Things that aren't red blood cells.
yeah, metabolized medicine, stuff like that, are in the yellow stuff.
Okay.
Platelets, probably.
Okay.
And then the white coat is white blood cells.
Wow. All right.
It's called a Buffy coat.
So which part of that's plasma?
Everything that's not red.
Everything above the layer of red blood cells.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Donations are super easy, and I really encourage people to do that. There's minor complications occasionally with people fainting or maybe some bruising of their arm.
And that can be totally psychosomatic. I have a scientific
Sure, yeah.
a scientific daughter who is just she decapitates
She's a
mice all
fainter.
day long.
Yeah.
You show her a needle that's going to go in her, and she's out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you do donate the blood while you're laying down, so at least it keeps people from
Yeah.
landing on the ground.
Yeah.
And they also screen you for anemia to see that you have enough blood to donate. So, but really, people show me their bruised arms all the time. Like, I don't know, they're offended by it. But really, it's you're sticking a needle in a blood vessel. Of course, there's going to be leakage. That leakage is experienced as a bruise. It's not a big deal. Your body knows how to handle, and we have a lot of bruises. And unfortunately, where they draw the blood from, there's a superficial vein and then kind of a deeper artery, and sometimes they go through the vein and hit the artery, which is not as bad as it sounds. Okay,
'Cause it's just
but
a little-
it's more likely to leave you with a bruise.
Okay.
And put a little bit of like a warm compress on it and be at peace. You've saved a number of people's lives. That's worth a little bruise.
That was Lynn for Suck It Up.
Yes. 37% of people in the general population are eligible to donate, but only 4% do.
Wow.
I know.
Okay. So first
That's
off,
awful.
why only 37% eligible to donate? Because of the choices
some
and the
people
conditions
traveled
and the
to
things.
Africa,
and,
or
yeah,
they
okay,
took a malarial medicine, or they have HIV, or they have something that maybe they're anemic,
Okay,
maybe they're
okay.
pregnant.
I said it didn't occur to me that the screening would weed out that larger
Yeah,
proportion
so
of
that's
people.
what keeps the blood supply
as safe
good,
as you were
as
saying.
safe as
Yeah,
it is,
okay,
because
okay.
they're serious about the screening. They're not the right age, right? I think they do maybe 16 and up, I think.
Okay.
That's just a guess, though, because they do drives at the or at the high schools. And so people under 18 donate. They always show me their bruise.
Oh, right.
So, but anyway, so 30% are eligible, 4% do. So that means there's a lot of room for y'all to step up. Okay. And it's unfortunate because this leads to blood shortages, especially in the summer. So why don't we have like blood donor appreciation
Yeah.
in July
Have
or
it,
something?
late spring or something. Get ready
Right.
for it. Point out the fact that why is there a blood shortage in the summer? Do you know?
It's because people are in more accidents.
Is it just a high?
And somebody in a serious motor vehicle accident might need 100 units. Okay, so that's 100 people.
Wow.
But, maybe a little kid with hemophilia, gets the platelets or some clotting factors, or, that's actually 1-to-1 directly. That's a
1-to-1
different kind of blood donation that I didn't really speak to, but plasmapheresis, where they take your blood out. They find these very specific donors. You have to meet criteria. They oftentimes donate weekly because what they're taking out can be replaced quickly. It's usually some nice retired school teacher or something. And they take the blood out, they spin it down, or do the procedure they need to do to get the component that they're specifically looking for. And then they put the red blood cells back in the person.
Oh, wow.
And they take that specific component, and that goes on to people who are significantly ill. And then, that person is doing a lot, and is, maybe it would be nice if that burden wasn't on that one particular donor all the time, and they could get some more people who had time on their hands to do that. That would be great.
Wow. Do you have interacting with people and being a healthcare person as you are, any idea why only 4% of us get out of the 37% who can donate? Why?
I
only
don't
for-
think we think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's seen as an inconvenience. I think the needle barrier is
That's
is
big,
real.
right? Yeah.
I think that there's, for me, and for a lot of healthcare providers, there's like a time limitation because we're always on the go. It takes about maybe 20 minutes, and then you have to sit around for 15, and drink the orange juice and stuff. And I never seem to be in the right place to donate blood. So I'm a hard stick, but that doesn't matter because it's not really that big of a deal. We have excuses. We
Yeah,
don't have
just
good
any-
reasons,
yeah.
do we?
Yeah, I guess that's the takeaway, right? Is that whatever
Yeah.
your excuse is, it's not good enough.
Right.
Compared
I feel like I'm donating in other ways. I don't know. maybe not. Stuff like that. But it is kind of cool that if there's a drive on and the providers have time, they don't care about the orange juice afterwards. They don't care that the needle. They're like dictating charts in the old days. And,
Right.
And ready to do it at the drop of a hat. Especially
God.
those of them who have kind of weird, blood types
Right.
that are
yeah.
more desirable.
Yeah. I talked to my wife. I forget which AB she is. She's one of the ABs, whatever the rarest is. Is it positive?
No, it'd be negative.
It would be negative?
Mhm,
Okay,
RH
yeah.
negative.
Yeah, she's like, she's
Whoa.
super rare. You get her in to do things, but we should do that this month. We should go and donate together.
Right. They kind of make it easy with the Bloodmobile. Comes
That's
up
just
from Humboldt County.
I would
in the parking lot at Safeway.
I think I'd like to be fancy about it. Maybe donate not in a vehicle. Is that possible? Can you just
I
go?
don't know. That
Can you go to
sounds-
Open Door and say I'm here to donate blood?
No.
No, okay.
No,
All right.
because the blood bank is that's their function.
Sure.
It's like if you get bit by a raccoon and you need rabies vaccine, you only find the rabies vaccine in the ER because that's the ER's function.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to tell me there was a rabies van driving
No,
around.
there's no rabies van. But you can't
So
go to your primary care and get specialized care like that.
Okay. So do you maybe that could be a barrier too? Do you have to wait for a drive, quote unquote, to get in the
Up
blood?
here you do. If you were in Eureka, you could just go to the blood bank. I mean, there's
Oh,
there's
I
like
forget
a
about
building.
an actual building, a blood
Yeah.
bank. Yeah, okay, all right.
Right.
All the vampire jokes going to the blood bank. Sure.
Oh yeah, like
So-
they've heard them all.
Yeah, I know that's it. I'm here to make a withdrawal.
Yeah.
So the for having a blood bank. So that was so here in Del Norte, we have to keep an eye out for the drives, and we have to watch for the Bloodmobile and all of that stuff.
Right.
Okay.
I bet you we use more of the blood too.
Okay. So yeah, this again another rural divide. Then you can't just in Del Norte go.
Right.
I feel like giving blood today and go
Some
and do that.
resource lack. So,
Huh.
but yeah, we have to be more organized. So, but the ladies, it's mostly ladies who draw blood. There's nurses associated, and there's also professional phlebotomists or blood drawers, and they do, I don't know, 20 sticks a day if they really have a good drive going. They are good at it. It only hurts a little bit. It's not that big a deal. And you could save more than one person.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that there's more reasons to actually do it
Yeah,
than there are
yeah.
excuses not to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of like thing, like you talked about the screening, is there anything, this is going to be a stupid question and I'll stand by it, but like things like lifestyle things, like I'm dieting right now. Is there anything I should be concerned about, transient sort of lifestyle things that might impede my ability to donate blood?
Yeah, if you hadn't eaten that morning, they'd probably encourage you to eat something before you donate it because those people are more likely to be fainters.
Right.
If you were severely malnourished and anemic, that you'd probably screen out because you're anemic.
How do they screen for anemia? Do they just
They
take a
prick your
blood?
finger.
Okay.
It's not that big a deal.
Well, see, now you didn't know that. So you get the finger prick and then
That's because it's so trivial. I didn't even mention it. It is not a big deal.
I'd rather get it in the vein in the arm than the finger prick. The finger prick bothers me a lot because I use my fingers all the time.
They can do it on the side of your finger. There's ways to mitigate that.
Okay. All right. So yeah, get out and donate blood.
Yeah, go do it.
There's no defensible reason not to.
Unless you have, I don't know, leprosy or something.
Okay, yeah. Lepers stay home. Anything else for this week?
No, but I'm hoping to talk about medical debt next week.
Medical debt. Wow.
Yeah, it's
okay.
not as grim as it sounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know about drives here in Del Norte for blood?
I do know that they are frequently
Okay.
at Safeway. In fact, I would say I see them twice a week.
Is there a place that somebody, an ordinary civilian, can go online to find out about blood drives?
Yeah, probably. So Humboldt County Blood Bank.
Okay.
And,
Might
yeah,
be
you could
something.
also call them, but you have to go online to get their phone number. So
Okay.
I'm
All right.
sure they have information.
All right. If you're itching to donate, you can. You'll have to do your own research on that and find out. But otherwise, keep an eye out for the Bloodmobile, which I assume then, because you told me you just steered me to Humboldt, that comes up from Eureka to come up here.
Does.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So we technically don't have any way to bank our own blood up here in Del Norte County.
No.
Okay.
What happens if there's a need for blood at the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet they don't keep any on hand. They actually, one of the dedicated employees drives it up.
Oh my gosh.
At like at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Raining, snowing.
Wow.
They're pretty amazing people.
I'm constantly struck with just how far out we are here,
Yeah.
and it's surprising to me when I hear these really basic sort of societal things that somebody's got to get up in the middle of the night and drive 80 miles to bring that to us. I'm
Right.
like, wow, I
Right.
forget
Especially with somebody is down, is actively
Yeah.
bleeding.
Yeah.
You could bleed out pretty quickly.
Oh, my
so
gosh.
somebody surgically, I suppose, or after childbirth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So donate blood. And January is what, blood donating month? What's the actual? Oh, wow, Blood Donors Month. So it's not the act of donating that's celebrated. It's the donors themselves who are celebrated.
Let's assume appreciation should be there.
That's a good one. Happy Blood Donors Appreciation Month. Lynn, thank you very much. I look forward to talking with you next week.
Thanks. Bye.